Hey, this is Jennifer and Megan. We are two sisters from South Carolina on a mission to discover more about our British grandmother's life in London by reading, researching, and sharing her love letters she wrote to her American soldier sweetheart during World War II. Our grandmother Lucy was born and raised in London, England, and our grandfather Jimmie was born and raised in South Carolina. He was in the U.S. Army and was stationed near Salisbury when they first met. At some point, he visited London and he and Lucy met somewhere in Covent Garden. At the time of the first letter that we have, Lucy and Jimmie had met, fallen in love, gotten engaged, and were planning on getting married in London and then moving to South Carolina once the war was over. But before they were able to get married, Jimmie was shipped off to France. They thought he would be coming back to London sometime soon after leaving, but as we now know, that didn't happen. And from the moment they departed at the train station, it will be 2 years before they are reunited. And so this 2-year period that they were apart is what gave us these letters we are reading today. It's such a beautiful love story that we just have to share it. Also, it's taken a life of its own as we've made so many awesome discoveries along the way, and it has become an ongoing research project. So, if you're looking for an interesting, unique perspective on life, love, and London during World War II, then you've found the right place. We will take you through each letter and bring them to life as we have recently traveled to some of the exact places mentioned in these letters. Think of this as a historical love story come to life. So, grab your favorite beverage and blanket and prepare to dive in with us. This is the All My Love, Lucy podcast.
Where have you been?
I've been here. Hey, and welcome back to the All My Love, Lucy podcast. We're so glad you're here with us for episode number 22. And we're so glad we have a special guest with us today.
Special guest.
Just kidding. We're so glad you're back, though. I do not like doing this by myself, so we're so glad you're here.
Oh, you always do such a great job, though.
I'm just not keen on, you know how much I like to talk. Well, I don't like to just talk by myself. I like to talk to somebody. At least make somebody else listen.
Right. Well, I'm very glad to be back. And we want to thank you all so much for joining us and just following along on this journey with us.
Yes, absolutely. And if you're a first-time listener, then we do recommend each time that you start with episode number 1. We've covered a lot of great information in these 21 episodes so far. And so we just encourage you to go back because it is more like a series. We do the podcast based on chronological order of the letter dates. So just go back because there's so much information. Also, we have ordered the t-shirts for the contest winners and we'll notify you that as soon as those come in. And thanks again for participating, and we'll do another contest on our 30th episode. So that'll be fun.
Oh, yeah.
And don't forget, as always, we will have an uninterrupted reading of the letter at the end. So let's get started with letter number 22.
August 19th, 1944. Jimmie, darling, I was so happy when I received your lovely letter last night. I just sat in the armchair reading it over and over again and looking at your picture. Tomorrow I am going to Muriel's for tea.
That is so, I started thinking about the emotion behind that and her sitting there in that armchair reading his letter over and over again and looking at his picture. And I was trying to think, what's the equivalent of that today? And I started thinking about now most people communicate on text message in digits, either on Messenger or text message. Most people, nobody writes letters anymore. Nobody really talks on the phone much anymore. You're texting, you're texting, you're saying, meet me here. And then once you get in person, of course, you talk. But so I started thinking about her sitting there reading this letter over and over again, looking at his picture. And I thought, that's kind of like when someone, like you text someone, you're waiting on them to text you back. You're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting.
I knew you were gonna do that.
And you keep looking at your phone and you think, why is this person not texting me back? So if anybody knows Megan, you're going to get this joke. She never responds to text messages. But that wasn't where I was going with that. a loved one, like a lover, when you're texting someone and you're waiting on them to text you back. And then I know my phone doesn't do this unless it's with an Android, because I have Android. But do you get the little dots when someone's typing?
Oh, yeah.
And you're like looking at it and you're waiting.
Yeah.
You're anticipating what they're going to say.
Uh-huh.
And then when they finally text you back, you're reading it, and then you read it over and over again. And so I thought about that's kind of the equivalent of what she's doing here, reading his letter. She's been waiting to hear from him, waiting and waiting and waiting, and she finally gets a letter, so she's going to read that letter over and over and over again until she gets the next one. And that's kind of what we do with text messages.
Yeah.
Or Facebook mail, however you're communicating with people. And then I thought too, like you respond to him and you wait back, but also she's looking at his picture too. And, especially with social media like Facebook, you can click on their picture and you can stare at their picture. So this emotion here behind what's going on with her is timeless. Even though it's we don't have to wait days, weeks, sometimes months to hear back from someone. It's still timeless, that emotion of being so in love or whatever with someone, that you're going to read what they have to say over and over again and just dwell on that and hold on to that until that next one.
Yeah, that's a
timeless.
Very good point. Yeah, it is.
So that's what I was thinking about.
Oh.
Then about Jimmie. So where is Jimmie? What's he doing? Right now, they're in the 50th Signal Battalion. They're making their way towards Paris. They're moving swiftly across France. And I don't want to jump ahead, but next time we're going to talk more about some specifics during that time. Some really neat information. We'll do that next time because I want to take ample time with that. A war story, in war in general, I've come across this story when I was looking up this specific date, August 19th, 1944. And I came across this story from a German perspective, from that side of things. And I wanted to read this because I thought this was on this date, August 19th, this happened. But I am going to read about this guy from an article on www.onthisday.com, and I'm going to read it word for word, so I always want to make sure that I give credit where credit is due. These are not my words. And I'm going to try not to butcher his name. I've practiced it, I looked it up, and I've been trying to make sure I get it right. But his name was Gunther von Kluge. Can you say that? Let's hear Megan say it.
Gunther von Kluge.
Good job. So Gunther von Kluge is no laughing matter, even though we are laughing about how we're pronouncing his name. So von Kluge was a German Field Marshal during World War II, serving on both the Eastern and Western fronts. He participated in the invasion of Poland, the Battle of France, the invasion of the Soviet Union, and the Battle of Moscow. While von Kluge commanded Army Group Center on the Eastern Front, he was injured in a car accident in 1943 and withdrawn. Von Kluge was then appointed commander of the German Army in the West upon his return, replacing another field marshal who had claimed that the war was lost. The Allied offensive on the Western Front proved too much for von Kluge, who soon stated, "I am no pessimist, but in my view, the situation could not be grimmer." And so I thought that gives a good perspective from their side of things, that the Allied forces are winning and it's clear to them that this situation is grim. And so I thought that was a neat perspective to have. And then when von Kluge ultimately called for withdrawal because he saw that they were losing, he was contradicted by Hitler, ordering instead a counterattack, which ultimately failed. So a lot of men died because Hitler didn't listen to the field marshal. And he wanted to withdraw. Von Kluge wanted to withdraw, but Hitler was like, no, we're going to go ahead. And a lot of men died because of that. Von Kluge's career came to an end as a result of the July 20th plot against Hitler. There was an assassination attempt. I think we read about that a little while ago. So that led by Klaus von Stauffenberg. The plot was led by that guy. And although von Kluge had not participated directly, he had been aware of the plot and he was sympathetic. So even though he didn't get involved, he was kind of like, yay, somebody take this guy out. Hitler survived the attempt, of course, on his life, and on this date, on August 19th, 1944, the date of Lucy's letter here, at age 61, Gunther von Kluge took his own life by potassium cyanide because he thought he had been implicated. So I thought that was an interesting story from that side of things, and to get a little bit of perspective on that side of things, that even some of these leaders were kind of turning against Hitler at this time.
Mm-hmm. She goes on to say, "Well, darling, I am still being a very good girl. No dates and no kisses, and I am proud to tell you because on 2 occasions I had the opportunity, and although I felt very tempted, I thought of my darling and how disappointed and hurt he would feel, and because I love you so very much, I said no. I am telling you this, sweetheart, because I hope it will make you feel happy to know that I shall always be true to you, just as I believe and hope you will be the same to me. I know how hard it is to live up to when one feels very lonely and longs for the other."
This is a pretty emotional letter, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. She's really expressing a lot of emotion here in this one. And so, did you get a chance to watch the movie, The Eve of St. Mark, from last time?
No.
Okay. Well, if anyone watched it, it's a really good movie. It's actually pretty good. Eric watched it, and got some funny parts. But I believe that certain parts of that movie that she went to see with Daisy last week, Lucy and Daisy went to see The Eve of St. Mark, and I believe certain parts of that movie led her to say all of this, because there's 2 parts in the movie. So there's a soldier, and he's away from home, and he's with his buddies, and they go out and they meet these girls. This soldier has a fiance back home, and she's in his hometown. She's away, long, like 2,000 miles away or whatever. And so they go out to this, not really a bar, but like a restaurant or something, and they meet these girls, and this one girl wants to dance with the soldier who has a fiance. And so they get up and they dance. He dances with her, but while he's dancing, he's looking off, and she says, "Who are you dancing with? Because you're not dancing with me." And he tells her that he's got someone back home. Mm-hmm. And she tells him, she's like, "Oh, forget about her. I'm here now." And she's like, "Give me a kiss." And he's like, "I'd rather not." He's still trying to stay faithful. And she's like, "I'll make you forget about her." And she's like, she's not here. I am. And so the guy remains faithful. He does not give in to it. But that moment, I thought, I bet that made Lucy think, I wonder if Jimmie's out there doing that, and some girl's trying to get him to be unfaithful or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then later on in the movie, when the soldier goes home and is talking to his fiance, she kind of questions it a little bit. She's like, "I know you were lonely, and I know that you probably wanted to," I don't know the exact words, but she was telling him basically that she knows that he was probably lonely and had opportunities or whatever. And he said, "No, I've been faithful to you. You're the only one that I was thinking about." And they were writing letters back and forth. And he said that her letters were like rain on a dry day every time he got one. Something to that effect. Aww. So I thought that probably started her thinking and got the wheels turning about everything. And then here she's telling him, "Hey, I know that you're probably lonely and we're longing for one another, but let's be faithful. I've been tempted. I'm sure you've been tempted, but let's stay true to each other." Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's what spurred her to say all that. Because she had just seen that movie. And that movie probably really made her think about things.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
But that's just my thoughts. That's what I thought of immediately when I saw those parts. I thought, oh, I bet that's why she says, because I'd already read ahead. So.
Mm-hmm. Fancy, my love, it is 3 months since we had any kisses, and I thought we were having too many. I guess that at this moment I would want more than you have ever given me, and I am sure I wouldn't be fussy as to whether you had a close shave or not.
I thought that was funny.
Won't it be grand when we are together again? I am always dreaming of it and thinking of all the lovely times we had.
again, there's just this, she must really be missing him.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot of emotion in this letter of her thinking and dwelling and missing and wanting him to be there and all of that. So very emotional letter. And so as we mentioned last time, we are going to start taking short breaks with a quick advertisement. This is just going to help offset some of our operational costs. So we'll be right back after this break. Today we are recommending the JBL Tune 510BT wireless on-ear headphones. With the awesome pure bass sound, which can be found in the most famous venues all around the world, you can enjoy listening to your favorite podcasts such as All My Love Lucy. With wireless Bluetooth 5.0 streaming, you can stream wirelessly from your device and even switch between two devices so that you don't miss a call. You can listen wirelessly for up to 40 hours and recharge the battery in as little as 2 hours. Easily control your sound and manage your calls from your headphones with the convenient buttons on the ear cup. You can also activate the voice assistant of your device by pushing the multifunction button, and these headphones are adjustable and are designed to fit nearly any head size comfortably. These are available in multiple colors, and if you are interested in purchasing, the Amazon affiliate link will be listed in the description below. We will receive a small commission from qualifying purchases, but rest assured we would never recommend anything we aren't willing to purchase ourselves, and all commissions will go towards our podcast operating expenses, so thank you in advance for your purchase. Enjoy!
I went and had my picture taken this afternoon specifically for you and pretended it was my darling whom I was looking at and not the camera, so I do hope it will come out okay. I am afraid we shall have to be patient as it will not be ready until September 29th.
Last time I talked about how she probably went to Jerome's studio. During this time, due to the rations, materials would have been limited, and so most likely you would have had to have your photo done or pictures of your family or your kids or yourself. You would have had to seek out a professional photography studio because they would have had more access to the materials needed to make pictures. And so we believe that there's a picture that she has on the back that says Jerome. It's printed, so that was Jerome Studios. So I think this is probably where she went to have this one made. And again, this is August 19th, and it's not going to be ready till September 29th. Think about that, too.
I know, I was. I can't believe how long it takes.
Right. So no selfies, no cell phones where we can take a picture and look at it and take 50 more because we don't like that one. You have to trust. She had to trust the photographer to take that one picture. And just trust that it's going to be printed and come out, because whatever was printed, that's what you dealt with. Can you imagine?
No, I cannot imagine.
How many times do we retake photos now because we have that instant access to that photo? You know? I just think that's just so foreign. Now, not to me so much, and probably not to you. You remember taking rolls of film to get them developed?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I know you're younger, but you're not that much younger. Just kidding. But yeah, we used to have to take stuff to get it developed and wait.
Yeah.
Then it changed to the hour.
I was about to say the hour
development or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, processing development. Yeah. So things have changed, and technology has just progressed so rapidly. Even in my lifetime and your lifetime, it's just sped up so quickly. So it's hard to think back to those times where, now I don't ever remember having to wait a month and a half on something to be printed. I don't know that that's ever been in my lifetime. Maybe, but I don't think so. So that's a long time to wait.
I'm so glad you like the idea of my sending your pictures to your mother when she writes. I'm sure she will like them because they are very good, and I think my darling looks very handsome. I dare not send you any, as I am scared you might give one to some pretty French lass when you get to gay Paris, and they greet you with flowers and kisses. So be careful in case I see your picture in the paper with a load of flowers.
I thought that was so funny. She's like, look, you better behave because somebody might take your picture and you might be on in the paper and I'll see it. Oh, I thought that was so funny. And so that got me thinking too about how the French greeted the GIs and how they felt about them being there in France trying to help liberate them. And so overall the French loved and adored the soldiers. We're glad they were there. They'd help them out. But I do have a funny story to share that I think is funny, but it's not, because it could have really had a bad outcome. So keep that in mind. But this is taken from a family book that our cousin Lisa, who is Jimmie's brother Tom's daughter. So remember, Tom's in the war too. Tom's daughter. Tom had two children, Phil and Lisa. And so Lisa put this book together for our family. And I was reading through it, and there's a lot of things in it that I had either forgotten about or didn't remember reading. And so this one story jumped out. And I believe she said that this story and a lot of the information about Jimmie in the book was contributed by Phil, her brother Phil, Tom's son. So it says, once in France, he was atop a pole and began hearing shots. Much to his discomfiture, the shots were aimed at him by a distressed French woman who was irate because her German lover had pulled out of town. Fortunately, the woman was subdued before she could do serious injury. So I thought that was, yeah, I thought that was a little bit different perspective too from the, you don't think about that, but well, I guess some movies portray that where, opposite sides fall in love or whatever. But this is something, she was in love with the enemy and he had to leave because of the Allied forces were coming in and pushing him out. So she was mad. That's what is funny, because she was, kind of humorous, but it's really not, because she was shooting at him up on that pole. And if she had been successful, we probably wouldn't be here. Just that one story. But that's a little bit different perspective also in this whole what's going on with Jimmie. But I don't know exactly when that happened, but he was still in France, obviously. So sometime around where we are right now.
Well, my dear darling, take great care of yourself, keep smiling, and be a good boy. And please write to me soon, because your letters make me so happy. With all my love, from your very own Lucy.
I don't know if you noticed the letter from Jimmie, how he signed it. I'm always all yours. Mm-hmm. And then here she's saying, from your very own.
Oh.
So sometimes how they sign things change. Mm-hmm. I guess how they're, again, emotion. There's a lot of emotion expressed in this letter. So we continue on this journey with Lucy and Jimmie as they detail their lives and as we go through these letters. And next time, like I said in the beginning, we're going to talk more about what Jimmie's doing, and also really interesting story in the book Key to Command by Michael Godbout. We are so grateful for coming. We are so grateful for connecting with Michael. I know I haven't talked about it in a little while, but I cannot express, I was thinking about that as I was reading out of that book, how awesome that is. That we connected with Michael and he had written that book, and now we just have this treasure in this book to know what Jimmie was doing. Mm-hmm. Otherwise we would not. It would all be guesses. It would all be, well, I guess he's doing this, I guess he's doing that, and now we have all these details. So I just want to throw that in there that we're so grateful. And Michael, if you're watching this, we're so grateful for the connection between us. And so we're going to talk about one of the stories in the book. It talks about one of the war's most significant innovations in communications that the Signal Corps was directly involved in creating. It's a really cool story, and I'm going to save it for next time. And I said this last time, but I read ahead looking for information on Muriel because I can't find any information on her, and read ahead into the 1945 letters, and I'm telling you, they're great. They're chock full of information. Great information. Lucy details so much in those letters in the 1945 period. And so I can't wait to get to those. So don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. We've got so much great information coming your way.
So make sure to subscribe to our channels. Just follow us, give us a like, hit that like button.
Email us.
Yeah,
it helps us, all of it. We keep saying this, but it helps our platforms to grow, and even just a simple like. You don't even have to type any words. Just hit that like button.
But we do appreciate hearing from you guys. So if you want to comment, say,
whatever.
Anything.
Yeah, we love hearing from you. But if you don't have time, just hitting the like button helps us. So anything. But make sure you are subscribed, because like we talked about, we are considering some operational changes with Podbean. So make sure you subscribe, especially to our YouTube and Facebook, because those are our two main forms of communication with y'all. So and so thank y'all so much for joining us today, and we're so glad you're back.
I'm glad to be back.
Don't miss again. And as promised, we're going to end with an uninterrupted reading of this letter. So until next time, enjoy. August 19th, 1944. Jimmie, darling, I was so happy when I received your lovely letter last night. I just sat in the armchair reading it over and over again and looking at your picture. Tomorrow I'm going to Muriel's for tea. Well, darling, I'm still being a very good girl, no dates and no kisses, and I'm proud to tell you because on 2 occasions I had the opportunity. And although I felt very tempted, I thought of my darling and how disappointed and hurt he would feel. And because I love you so very much, I said no. I'm telling you this, sweetheart, because I hope it will make you feel happy to know that I shall always be true to you, just as I believe and hope you will be the same to me. I know how hard it is to live up to when one feels very lonely and longs for the other. Fancy, my love, it is 3 months since we had any kisses, and I thought we were having too many. I guess that at this moment I would want more than you have ever given me, and I'm sure I wouldn't be fussy as to whether you'd had a close shave or not. Won't it be grand when we are together again? I'm always dreaming of it and thinking of all the lovely times we had. I went and had my picture taken this afternoon especially for you and pretended it was my darling whom I was looking at and not the camera. So I do hope it will come out okay. I'm afraid we shall have to be patient as it will not be ready until September 29th. I'm so glad you like the idea of my sending your pictures to your mother when she writes. I'm sure she will like them because they are very good and I think my darling looks very handsome. I dare not send you any, as I'm scared you might give one to some pretty French lass when you get to gay Paris and they greet you with flowers and kisses, so be careful in case I see your picture in the paper with a load of flowers. Well, my dear darling, take great care of yourself, keep smiling, and be a good boy, and please write to me soon because your letters make me so happy. With all my love, from your very own Lucy. If you are hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We truly hope you enjoyed this episode, and we hope you'll return for the next episode of the All My Love Lucy podcast.